The Tale of Atticus, the Water-Dancing Rat. A story by Richard Colvin with illustrations by Sally Cheng. Chapter 3. The Qualification. A few days later, Atticus pulled out of the forage. He talked to his team and thanked them, but he said he knew he was holding them back, and if they wanted a chance of winning, they'd be better off without him. The team coach came forward. "You're our teammate, Atticus. There's no winning without you." "That's nice of you to say," Atticus said with a little frustration. "My mind's made up. You'll have a much better chance of winning if I'm not on the team." "Atticus," team leader said, "what do you think winning is?" Atticus could feel himself getting angry at being asked such a stupid question. "It's what you do when you don't have a stupid rat with no gift for the forage, constantly finding nothing interesting." Team leader looked at Atticus. "What are we searching for?" Atticus now let loose. "The best thing I ever found in all this time was a bramble bush down by the river. That's it. You can't win if you're all carrying me the whole time. You can't." "You keep saying that," team leader said. "I don't think you know what winning is, Atticus." Atticus interrupted. "You're saying that because you never won a medal in your whole life." Team leader gasped, and his head dropped, and Atticus searched for a way to take it back. And when he couldn't find one, he ran off home. Over the next few days, qualifying began, and Atticus would often sit and watch some of the events. He watched the sparrows competing in archery and then the rabbits in maths. It was dizzying how fast they could multiply. He watched his old foraging team qualify for the finals. He was going to go over and congratulate them, but when he saw Mama Rat run up to team leader, clearly upset, he slunk off to watch the otters build and the ducks sing. Then, on the last day of qualification, hours early, he found himself by the empty riverbank, waiting for the announcement of the swans and the official closing of qualification. In a few hours, all the animals of the river would cram the bank to watch and congratulate all the teams who participated in qualification, but for now, it was calm and empty. Atticus felt the pull of the swim, but there was no joy in it. "It never leaves you, little rat." Atticus turned to see Barkforth and team leader facing him. "Thank you, Master Rat," said Barkforth, with a deep bow, and with that team leader nodded at Atticus and left. Barkforth sat next to Atticus, and the two sat in silence, both drawn to the water, both desperate to swim. "Now," said Barkforth, "now I'm too old to dance. I feel the pull. I still remember the days I'd finish my dance and all the swans on the bank stretched their necks up to the sky and honked their appreciation. Mama used to tell us stories of your dances. She said no one on the river could match you." "Alas, it's true." Atticus looked at Barkforth. "Alas?" he said. Barkforth looked at Atticus. "It's a terrible day to learn too late what winning is. Tell me, why do you dance?" Atticus thought for a second. "What else could I do?" he asked. "I'll rephrase the question. Whom do you dance for?" "For me," Atticus replied instantly. "It's as if I vanish and become something bigger all at once. It's like I'm losing and finding myself." "Then, little rat, why have an audience at all?" Atticus didn't know the answer. "Why not just dance for your own joy?" After a long pause, Atticus admitted, "I don't know. Maybe if Mama wasn't ashamed and the other rats didn't laugh." "Atticus, no one is," Barkforth began, but Atticus interrupted. "Because I could win. That's why. I know I could." "Ah," said Barkforth. "Then tell me, little rat, what do you think winning is?" Atticus found his frustration well up inside him again. "I get it. You don't want me to compete because you're afraid I'll beat your precious class. Mama doesn't want me to dance because she's afraid every rat in the riverbank will become a laughingstock, so I get it. No one wants me to dance but me, so I won't dance. And you're wrong. It will leave. I'll come here every day and teach myself to hate the river. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it." Atticus ran off, and Barkforth looked at the deep grey clouds reflected on the calm surface of the river. Storm's coming, she thought, and went to prepare for the ceremony. Mama Rat was in a foul mood. We're not going to the river to watch you embarrass yourself, your family, and every other rat in the village. If you want to go out into the river and be laughed at by the entire river, you do it alone. I won't do anything, Mama, Atticus said. I just want to watch the ceremony and congratulate our foragers. Mama looked at him. I'm sure we can find a way to get you back on the team. No, Mama. Thank you, but I just want to watch. When Atticus returned to the river with Mama and the rest of the rats not competing, it was bedlam. Every animal in the river trying to find a good spot, with the larger animals moving back to let the smaller ones forward, but not so far back they couldn't see. Atticus and the rats found a nice spot in front of a group of retired otters, who seemed convinced the building tasks were much easier now than when they competed. Then the procession of matriarch swans, led by the oldest swan to the far bank. The elder swan and president of the games stepped forward. A swan so old, even Mama couldn't remember a time when she was not president. Good afternoon. She spoke with a frail, proud tone. Firstly, as president of the River Games, it is my duty to thank every competitor for making this the most exciting qualifications on the riverbank in living memory. You are, indeed, all winners. But before we join to celebrate our competitors and close qualifications, we have one final duty. Would each matriarch swan come forward and elect their chosen dancer? The swans, now all lined up, bristled their feathers. Atticus watched as the matriarchs, one at a time, stepped forward and nominated their chosen signet. He gave a loud hurrah when he heard one of the swans nominate Shay. The closer it got to Barkforth, the more anxious Atticus felt. Would she have to step out and say she had no family, so had no one to nominate, he wondered. Then, when it came to Barkforth to nominate, like it was nothing, she was politely skipped over, and the next matriarch swan started to announce her choice of competitor. Atticus watched Barkforth look across the water as the next person in line gave her nomination, then looked over and saw Mama Rat keeping her young cubs quiet. Atticus went over to Mama. Can we go now? Atticus whispered. Are you sure? Yes, please. Mama asked a neighbour rat if she would watch the cubs, and with that, Atticus and Mama went home. Atticus wasn't sure why he was sad. Was he hoping for a miracle? Should he have dived into the river and danced? He didn't know. He just knew it was over, that maybe he could just swim for him. When he reached home, Atticus hugged Mama and went straight to bed. The next morning, Atticus woke to shouting. Mama Rat was shouting with someone, but it was a voice too deep to be a cub. He entered the kitchen and found Mama Rat and team leader. They stopped and both looked at Atticus. She's trying to get me back on the foraging team, he thought. And after a few moments of them silently looking at him, he spoke up. I don't want to compete, Atticus said. I just want to watch this year. Atticus, it's unprecedented, said team leader. So, take some time before you decide to compete or not. Thank you, Mama. And you, team leader. I get you just want me to be happy. Maybe next year. Team leader looked crestfallen, which confused Atticus greatly. I'm sorry, team leader, really. I'm sorry for what I said, but I was never any good at foraging, and you qualified without me. What? Team leader asked confusedly. My joy just isn't in the forage, and I'd hold you back. Atticus, team leader's voice now shaking. I'm not talking about the forage. Atticus felt his heart thunder and his hands shake. I'm talking about the dance.